What's up, everybody? Welcome to Philly with Jon Marks on PHLY. As always, presented by Bet Parks and Central City Toyota. You can hear the voice. Almost back. Almost back. The cough's worse, but the voice is almost back. So I feel like by Monday, hopefully I'm going to be 100%. Good morning to everybody out there watching live on YouTube. Our Mad Chatters, Football Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. You watch on YouTube whenever. Comment, subscribe, smash that subscribe button. Get us in your algorithm. Then you don't have a choice. You have to watch all of our shows because that's all that you're going to see. So do that. Our podcast listeners, thank you very much. Leave 5-star reviews. Subscribe. That way people can also find our show out there. We appreciate it. And we're on TV now, which means I really, really can't use profanity, or they tell me that I can't. So good morning to everybody watching on Xfinity, Roku, Samsung Plus. What is up? Football Friday. I am excited. It's actually the Steelers and the Eagles is like they play every couple of years, right? So there's not a big rivalry with the two football teams, but it is a intrastate rival. And it's pretty unique because Philadelphia very much is a part of the Northeast corridor, right? New York, D.C., Baltimore, Boston. We all have our inferiority complexes to New York or D.C., and like Boston feels more regal than Philadelphia. At least that's what a lot of people think. Baltimore is kind of like our little brother, but they remind me a lot of Philadelphia. But Pittsburgh is a Midwestern city. They call soda pop. So they may be a 5-hour drive away on the turnpike, but they're very much a Midwestern city, and they resent Philadelphia because we're looked at as the Northeast city, and they're looked at as, oh, well, you're Pittsburgh or whatever. But it's a strong sports city, and I always love when the Eagles and the Steelers play. I have a lot of friends that lived in either Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, west of Harrisburg, that went to school at Temple or moved here for work or whatever. And you know what? They never leave because they're like, wow, this is awesome. This is so much better than Pittsburgh. Now, by comparison, the people that I knew in high school that moved to Pittsburgh went to Duquesne, went to Pitt, went to some of those schools out there where you're really like a suburb of Pittsburgh. Man, they couldn't wait to get the hell back to Pennsylvania, or they moved somewhere else, or back to Philadelphia, or they moved somewhere else. So it really is the battle of what? Tyler Zulli, what is Philadelphia and Pittsburgh? What is the battle over? Wawa Sheets, right? Everybody loves to have the debate. My gas convenience store is better than yours. I like Wawa. Oh no, Sheets is better. The Primanti Brothers sandwich. Or the cheesesteak. You went to Penn State, so you have some. You're more familiar than Pittsburgh people probably than me.
Yeah.
Primanti Brothers sandwich. Have you had one?
I have.
Are you a fan?
It's okay.
I think it's good.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I don't love it. I think it's a decent sandwich.
You can't eat it. It's not as versatile as a cheese. Like a cheesesteak, I could eat pretty much every weekend.
Sure.
But like Primanti Brothers is like, all right. It's a French fry with meat and coleslaw in it. Like, it's good.
See,
it's a novelty item.
That's the problem. I'm not a big coleslaw guy. So
oh my God, you kidding me?
It just doesn't. It's a once in a while type of thing.
Love coleslaw, man. Coleslaw on sandwiches. You get turkey specials, roast beef specials, coleslaw on itself. I love it. But like, I always love when the Eagles and the Steelers play. The Steeler fans are very much like Eagles fans in that they travel. So if you see a game in Los Angeles, if you're down in, I remember this one Monday night game for whatever reason, where it seemed like a Steelers home game was in Washington. It seemed like a Steelers home game. And because we do that in Philadelphia, we take over stadiums. They are really, really good sports fans. They're big Steelers fans. And I miss the Flyers not being good, because I used to like to do this thing on sports radio where I would lobby for the Flyers to get Sidney Crosby, and they need to get Sid. Like right now, I would trade the whole team, the whole Flyers team, to get Sidney Crosby, because Flyers fans would get so mad because Flyers fans hate Sidney Crosby and the Penguins, but the Penguins fans hate the Flyers even worse. Like if we're kind of like ranking rivalries, and for a while, the Cowboy-Eagle rivalry felt very one-sided. The Cowboys didn't care about the Eagles, right? Like Cowboys fans didn't care about Eagles fans. I think more recently because the Eagles are the toast of the NFL, one of the toasts of the NFL, and the Cowboys suck every year. Cowboys fans have become very annoyed with the Eagles fans' success or the Eagles' success. So it's changed a little bit. But for the longest time, it was Cowboys-Redskins and then Cowboys-Commanders. So it wasn't the rivalry where both teams are saying, yeah, like this is our chief rival. The Penguins fans hate Philadelphia and hate the Flyers, and it goes both ways, which is an awesome rivalry. So it'll be nice when the Flyers, as they're getting good right now, and we'll talk about them last night coming up in headlines, but I love this rivalry. Tyler Zulli, were you aware, do you know anything about the Steagles?
Yeah, of course.
Well, I wasn't. I mean, you're a historian for your younger age here.
Yeah.
But the Steagles in the 1943 season, they had to merge because of World War II. And officially it's called the Phil Pitt Combine, but everybody else calls them the Steagles. And then the next year they went back to being their own individual entity. But yes, it's like this will be a fun game this weekend. I'm sure a lot of Steelers fans are going to be there. I have friends that are Steelers fans. They're going to be down there with their terrible towels possibly. But Tyler Zulli, good morning. How are you, buddy?
We're here. We're doing well. Things work today, which the elevator works. The
elevator's working again. Yes, we should mention that.
The computer today.
Computers work. The TV screen worked.
Listen,
you didn't have to reboot.
I don't know what's going to happen in my car when I pull out of here this afternoon.
Oh yeah,
but
so
we're doing well
issues.
so far. Yeah, so I did. I think we're okay. I think it was just one of those. It was like 55 the day before, and then like 20 the next day.
It's probably just a slow leak.
Yeah, I think we're okay. But
for now, you're okay.
Who knows?
Be careful.
Yeah, who knows?
So you went to Penn State. You had said this to me the other day. So because when I graduated from high school, my high school girlfriend was a year ahead of me, or became a year ahead of me when I failed. I was on the 5-year program. They redshirted my junior year in high school, Tyler. So she was at Penn State.
You should have hit the transfer portal, John.
It wasn't available. There were no NILs back then. But it was the 1994 Penn State season where they should have won the national championship, or they should at least had an opportunity to play for the national championship. But that was Kajana Carter, Bobby Ingram,
Kerry Collins,
Kyle Brady. It's just like a ton of first-round draft picks, a ton of NFL players on that team. But I remember my years going up to Penn State were on Sundays, football Sundays, and my friends lived in Beaver Hill, and then I had friends that lived in Cedar Brook.
Sure.
So you're watching a game. So the Eagles are the 1 o'clock game. The Steelers are the 1 o'clock game. And you can tell what's going on in the other team's game based on the roar or the yell. But yeah, there's no red zone back then. So like you're not able to watch both games at once. So you would hear a groan or you would hear a collective scream, and it's like the Steelers must have just scored a touchdown.
Yep.
Or the Eagles must have just scored a touchdown. I loved watching NFL Sundays up in Happy Valley were a lot of fun.
Yes, so State College is like this melting pot of really 3 fan bases, and then like there's some outskirts of different fan bases, but it's Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are your 2 big ones. And then the third one is Baltimore.
Ravens.
There's a lot of Ravens fans up in Penn State and up in State College. But that's kind of like this melting pot of 3 areas it's basically equidistant from, Maryland's a little bit further south than Philly is east and Pittsburgh is west.
But if you go to Harrisburg, I mean, it's
like split down the middle.
No, that's like an hour drive from Baltimore or so, because I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done the suburban Baltimore drive to Harrisburg. My wife's family's down there. So yeah, no, you're right. It really is a melting pot. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool place to be. And so when I was there, the Sixers were terrible. So, but Pittsburgh didn't really care about the Sixers, but the Sixers were terrible. The Flyers and Penguins, I think, played twice in the playoffs in my 4 years. So it was a pretty bitter rivalry.
Right.
The Steelers and Eagles, I don't remember a lot of like interaction with Steelers fans other than like, hey, bleep the Steelers, hey, bleep the Eagles type of thing.
Right.
But the Phillies were coming down and the Pirates were on the rise. If you remember those Pirates teams with Kutch and Josh Harrison and, like all of the reclamation starting pitching arms that they had that all came together at once.
Right.
like Francisco Liriano's of the world. And they had that 2 or 3 year run where they were really, really good. I found the Pirates fans to be the most insufferable because it was the first time in like 20 years that the Pirates were good. And the Phillies were,
so they were enjoying it.
The Phillies were heading towards crap.
Right.
Like by the time I had graduated, the Phillies were in the midst of their, decade-long rebuild. And the Pirates had a 3 or 4 year window where they were an excellent baseball team. So to me, they were the worst ones the worst Pittsburgh fans to get along with. And it really was like, I liked watching that Pirates team play. They were fun.
Yeah, screw the Pirates. But I agree with you. Like, why would I have any vitriol towards the Pirates? They've been good since the 90s, since the early to mid 90s. If you were to venture a guess, the Eagles Steelers all-time record, they've played 81 times, including one postseason game. What would you say that who leads the series, and is it by a lot?
So I know that the Steelers have never won at Lincoln Financial Field,
right?
I believe. And now, granted, that's only once every 4 years for 20 years, so it's probably only 5 games. I would say the Steelers lead the all-time matchup. I want to say it's not by a lot, though. But I could be way off. I want to say the Steelers lead the all-time matchup.
All right, so dating back to 1933. And I would have probably answered the question the same way because the Eagles are good in like the 40s and the
early
then they were
60s.
terrible.
Right, and they were bad for a long time.
So I guess the Steelers were bad as well because the Eagles won a lot of those games. Would you believe the Eagles are 20 games better?
Are they really?
49, 29, and 3. Yeah,
that's substantial.
20 games, 20 more wins than the Steelers. Going back to 1933, this must have been a barn burner. 6-0. They were called the Pirates at the time. Then 1934, the Eagles won that one 17 to, I don't even know what the...
We got to talk about the fact that teams in that time period, like cities were naming their teams the same thing.
Yeah.
Like there were the Giants, the Pirates.
The Cardinals before they moved to Arizona were the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Cardinals are another one. Like we got to talk about the fact that cities were lazy and they were just like everybody's the Giants, whatever.
All right, let's do this because Wes Yuler, who does sports radio out in Pittsburgh, he's Steelers Nation Radio. I worked with him at WIP. He was one of my producers at WIP. He's been out there probably doing Steelers stuff for the last 10 years. He's going to join us coming up in about 12 minutes, 8:25 if you're watching live. I want to know what the perception is from a great football city like Pittsburgh. What do they think the Eagles are, and how do they view them big picture going in to kind of the final stretch of the season? We'll talk about the Steelers as well. So Wes is coming up here in a little bit more than 10 minutes. But let's get to some headlines with Tyler Zulli because the Flyers with a big game last night. What's up, Tyler?
Yeah, so if you were keeping score at home last night, it was Scott Laughton 4 and the Detroit Red Wings 1. It was the Scott Laughton game for the Flyers. He scored all 4 goals, 2 of them empty netters. But he had 2 goals, 1 goal in the second, 1 in the third. He scores the empty netter for the hat trick. And then it was kind of funny because the Red Wings continued to have Cam Talbot out of the net. And the Flyers had a 2-on-0 breakaway. And Laughton passed the puck to Garnet Hathaway. And Hathaway was like, not a chance, dude. Take this back and shoot it into the net. So Scott Laughton with a 4-goal night. He only had 2 goals coming into the night. He goes from 2 to 6 on the evening. But it was the Scott Laughton game. Aleksei Kolosov stopped 25 of the 26 shots he faced. The Flyers have won 2 in a row. And maybe more importantly, John, now I'm not sitting here and telling you that I think Detroit or Columbus are good teams by any means. They're middle of the pack. They're both hovering around 500, as are the Flyers, hovering right around 500.
Right.
But the last 2 nights that the Flyers have played in Columbus and at home against the Red Wings, the Flyers have been the superior team by a lot in these last 2 nights.
Yeah, I actually was thinking the same thing because like when you beat a mediocre to bad team, it's like, all right, well, that team's bad or mediocre. When your team is bad to mediocre, or at least that's what you were thinking in the season, when you start beating those teams, that means that you're not bad anymore and you're not mediocre anymore. And I agree with you. You could really see this team taking shape right now. And it's fun to watch. It really is happening before our eyes. I think expectations are changing a little bit with the Flyers, and they should be. They're playing. Listen, this team's playing really well right now, and it's fun.
So the Flyers now 14. Excuse me. Let me go back and grab you that exact number. They're 14, 12, and 4 on the season, winning 2 straight. As we said, they beat Columbus on Tuesday. They beat the Red Wings yesterday. They'll go to Minnesota for a quick 1-game road trip. Oh no, excuse me, a 2-game road trip. They'll go to Minnesota and then Detroit before they come back home to take on the Kings and the Blue Jackets again. That is your schedule for the next couple of days for the Flyers. Sixers finally back at it, as because they didn't qualify for the NBA Cup. They're back at it tonight. They take on the Indiana Pacers at home. And John, would you believe me that the Sixers are 6.5-point favorites over the Indiana Pacers tonight?
I would. I think this is where they go on a run here. The Sixers. They've already started it. And Embiid's knee seemed like it was recovering. He talked about the depressing nature of the injury. I don't think we're talking about any more. He's searching for the snitch, and snitches get stitches and all that other stuff. So hopefully we're past all the shenanigans from the beginning of the season, and they can actually start playing basketball. Because guess what? What we've learned is this team's got some talent on it, and when it's all said and done, where they're going to be, I don't expect them to be in the Eastern Conference Finals or anything. But hey, let's go. Let's change that perception.
So they've won 4 of their last 5, dating back to November 30th. Wins against the Pistons, the Hornets. Split with the Magic and a win against the Bulls. They'll take on the Pacers tonight. Monday, they got the Hornets again. You and I talked about, and then again, the Hornets on Friday. It feels like they've played the Hornets 72 times already. You and I talked about it at the beginning of this stretch when it was the game against the Hornets that Tuesday last week, and then the 2 with the Magic. We kind of laid out the game plan where if they could beat the Hornets and beat the Bulls and split with Orlando, who is a good team, but both of those games were at home, they did just that. They won 3 out of 4. Now you're talking about a 3-game stretch where you've got the Pacers and the Hornets twice. If you can take 2 out of 3 in that, now all of a sudden you're 9-16. And 9-16 doesn't feel like this amazing accomplishment, but
Right.
they were 2-13 not that long ago. So to go from 2-13 to 9-16, it's a good, step in the right direction for a team that really struggled out of the gate.
Yeah, I agree, and it's all about like there's so much time left in the season to where it's really possible by the end of the year. Now, you're not focused on how bad the start was. You almost forget about it unless you're using it like, hey, remember this team started out like this. The fact that they've made it here is a big deal. I mean, it's Paul George has looked good at times. McLean is he's kind of I don't know if he's come back down to earth, but they're not using him as much, right? So they've pulled back.
Well, he went through a little bit of a shooting slump a couple weeks ago, and now obviously as guys are getting healthy, he's not going to be tasked to do as much as he was when it was just him and Maxey or him and PG or sometimes just him. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be asked to shoot the ball at such a high volume as, when Embiid is on the floor and Paul George is on the floor, Tyrese Maxey's on the floor, a bulk of them on the floor.
Yeah. All right. Anything else there, Tyler?
Yeah. So last night, if you missed it, I don't blame you. I got an update. So Kyron Williams is on my fantasy team, and I got an update at like 10:15 last night, and it said Kyron Williams and the Rams are in the red. The ESPN update you get when your player's in the red zone.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, that's right. There's a game on, because this game was terrible. The Rams win 12-6 over the San Francisco 49ers. Matt Stafford and Brock Purdy combined throw for 302 yards. Combined. No passing touchdowns, 1 interception. Kyron Williams went for over 100 rushing yards. Puka Nacua was the leading receiver, 7 for 97. But the Rams win 12-6 in a game that really just had no juice to it whatsoever. San Francisco is now 6-8. And John, you and I were talking before the show started. That's one of those teams where they've not played well this year, but they're still talented enough where if they sneak into the playoffs, it's like, can San Francisco be that make a run team? I think this team's cooked. This year.
They are now. I agree. I still mentally, they still have something over me as an Eagle fan, because I like the last team I would want to see in the playoffs in a first round matchup for the Eagles would be San Francisco, which I guess they would have to be the division winner, so that wouldn't have happened. But still, you just want to avoid them like the plague.
So the Rams now are 8-6. They're just a half game back of Seattle, who's going to play this weekend for the NFC West. They're also just a half game out of the final wild card spot with the Commanders, who also play this weekend. They're both 8-5. So obviously Minnesota and Green Bay has separated themselves as the top 2 wild card teams, but the Rams are very much alive for a playoff spot, maybe a division title, but they're only a half game back of the final wild card spot as well.
One of the big headlines from the game last night, a linebacker who I never heard his name before. he refused to go into the game in the third quarter. I think he just left. And all the players, I was for San Francisco because I saw the San Francisco players after the game were being asked about it. And they weren't being like, they thought it was a mental health issue or something like that. They were all, you could tell they were like pissed about it. So that was, like I said, I don't even know his name. I don't. All right, here, coming up. We're going to send it to the land of Permane Brothers sandwiches and Iron City beer. Wes Yuler, Steelers Nation Radio, joins us to preview the Eagles and the Steelers. What's Pittsburgh's view of this Eagles team? And what does he think about the game here? How good is the Steelers team? Wes is coming up next right after this. Don't go anywhere. Philly with Jon Marks. All right, listen, glad hair restoration. I was thinking about this. I'll call her Aunt Donna. She was a listener that I'd become friends with. Her nephew lived in Florida. And he was like in his early 20s and he was balding. And he had a hair restoration procedure in Florida. And he moved back up here and like they weren't happy with the results. It was like it was a waste of money. So I said, listen, let me reach out to Cheryl and to Lisa and see what they have to say about it. So he had a consultation with them and they reported back to me like they should have never given him hair restoration. They should have never done it. He was too young. Like you could tell he was going to be almost completely bald within 2 or 3 years. So now he's got this hair restoration procedure that didn't give him anything because he's bald from the rest of his head, right? So that's when I talk about glad hair restoration. I'm talking about they're going to give you like legitimately honest, here's what we think you should do. They're going to pinpoint, here's what we would do. They would have told him, you're not ready for the hair restoration procedure. Like maybe in a couple of years, but we can try to slow down the balding. We can try to slow down the shedding. Or, hey, just wait 2 or 3 years. You're probably going to lose the rest of your hair, and then you can get the procedure done. So he wasted a ton of money getting something that he didn't need done. And that's glad hair restoration. Each patient is getting a one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment. It's complimentary, and they're advocating for you. They know if you're happy, then like you're going to tell other people, and you're going to be happy. So they are with you from the first phone call to the last follow-up visit. They understand this isn't like a big decision. So again, get your hair back. You can do it. It's not just hair restoration. There's a lot of other things that they can do that I use on a yearly basis for maintenance in the hair, to stop the shedding, to stop the thinning. Call them today. Glad Hair has the right treatment for you. 610-980-4000. You can speak with their hair team right now. 610-980-4000. Or the website's glathairmctr.com. That's GLATMCTR.com. All right, Central City Toyota. Uncle Jamie was on yesterday talking about college football. All right, yes, it's Toyotathon. What does that mean right now? It means great deals on all of their certified Toyotas. We even talked about the guy, if you saw the video, he ran his car, he drove it through the showroom window because he bought a lemon and they wouldn't take it back. I can tell you right now, I'm putting my name to it. My Uncle Jamie's the GM of Central City Toyota. You will not be treated like that. You will be treated like you should be as a customer. And whether it's service, whether it's parts, whether you're looking to upgrade your ride, whatever it is, centralcitytoyota.com. Check out the website. Check out their inventory. A ton of great pre-owned. And there's new cars. CentralCityToyota.com. Whenever I go in and I get the service, you kind of start walking around a little bit. You're like, oh, man, I need something new. I'm itching. That's coming up soon. CentralCityToyota.com. If you need service, you work in the Center City area, they'll come and pick your car up from wherever you park it. Boom, take it, service it, drop it back off. You won't even know what happened. You're at work. By appointment basis, CentralCityToyota.com. Just go in there and yell for my Uncle Jamie. In the heart of University City, 55 years on Chestnut Street, CentralCityToyota.com. Check them out. The voice isn't as good. There it is. Yep. And he's gone. Yeah, man, imagine if there were people standing there.
Well, so that's the first thought is like he really seriously could have hurt somebody. And then when you realize like nobody got hurt, you can then kind of look to the comedy of it.
You can have fun with it.
Where he leaves, takes his jacket off, like places it on the roof of the car, and then comes back. He's like, oh, crap, forgot my jacket.
Yep. Yeah, total lunatic. But you know what? I mean, he was claiming that they said like, they're like, oh, sorry, as is, you bought it.
So
See ya.
I was going to run the audio of it when we were going to run it the other day. There's so much profanity in that video. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. We'd have to beep it. It's not like our radio days where it's easy to beep out audio when you're whatever. It's with the video, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, you and I used a thing called Vox Pro. Vox Pro is easy to put the beeps in. You can't really do it on here.
No, it's you have to. I don't even know how you would do it on here, but yes. So Wes is going to join us coming up here in a second. Is he there? Wesley Yuler, the pride of West Virginia University, as he's probably, and he's got the friggin' West Virginia shirt on right there. Rich Rod going back to save the program. Wes has been back in Pittsburgh for a long time now, bro, since you went back out there, doing a daily show on Steelers Nation Radio with former Stiller Arthur Moats. What's up, Wes? How are you, buddy? We don't have the audio. Hang on a second. We'll see if it's you or you see if it's on our end. But that was like too perfect of an intro. This is what happens when I do like a great intro and I don't stutter and I throw it to you. Yeah, it's not working. Can you bring them down to try to figure this out? Because I can definitely talk about the game here for a second. So I've been pretty good with my Eagles predictions this year. I've been, except for the Giants game where I don't know what the hell I was thinking that week. I've been on with the Eagles from week to week, and I feel pretty confident with my read on this team right now. Coming off of the poor performance in the passing game and a win, and then everything that happened this week. Is he good, Tyler? We're going to try again?
I think so, yeah.
Wes?
Oh, no. I had audio.
Man. This friggin' place. But like I look at this Eagles team right now, and like the Steelers are a legitimately good team. I don't know if they're going to the Super Bowl, but Russell Wilson has added a dynamic that they just haven't had before. And Justin Fields, Kenny Pickett's, these kind of quarterbacks since Ben Roethlisberger, they're game managing. And I think I can hear you now, Wes.
Yeah. I think I got you now. I don't know. Is it something? It might be something with my microphone. I got the
you.
AirPods in now. I think we can make this work.
You're good, brother. What's up?
What's up, Marksy? It's good to catch up with you, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, man. And I'm going on Wes's show today at 12:20, so it's a mutual thing. I'll be in the Berg. All right. So just your perspective. You worked in Philly. Your wife is from the area, so I'm sure you're still paying attention to what happens in Philly with the Eagles more than perhaps the average Pittsburgher. But so what do you think about this Eagles team? Are they, like, a lot of people are saying I would say it's the common theme that the two best teams in the NFL are the Lions and the Eagles, and then it's kind of everybody else there. Would you agree with that statement?
I would have put the Bills in that conversation too until they went out to LA last week and scored 42 points and still found a way to lose. But it's been interesting for me because everything you just mentioned, I worked at WIP for 3 years. My wife is from Philadelphia area. My in-laws all have Eagles season tickets. So I do keep an eye on the Birds, of course. And it's been weird. Like, from afar, it seems like a volatile situation. It seems like there's been a lot of times this year where it's been a balloon that could kind of burst, much like it did last year. But every time I think this might be the time. This might be the time. Is this the time that the wheels are going to come off for the Eagles? You guys find ways to win. You guys find ways to keep it humming. 9 straight now. So, yes, I am now firmly on this group feels more like 2022 than they do 2023, at least from 300 miles away across the turnpike.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good read, and really, they've won 9 games in a row. And when you're winning games, generally everybody's happy. When you start losing games, as we found out last year with this team, that's when you really find out what the fabric of your team is, right? But with everything that happened this past week with AJ, and then Brandon Grant comes out and says that these guys aren't friends, what maybe last year would have, like you said, the bubble would have popped. This year, they had a very firm grasp on the situation. The head coach handled it very well. AJ and Jalen handled it very well. Jordan Mailata in the locker room.
I was just going to say, Mailata.
They asked him about it, and he said, this ain't the Jalen and AJ show. So you can tell whatever happened, that's not happening. Now, that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to win this week because the Steelers are also a very good team. So tell me, I pay attention to media all over the place, and there was a lot of talk after Russell Wilson was named the starter over Justin Fields that the locker room wasn't happy about it, that Mike Tomlin doesn't know what the hell he's doing. This is the wrong move. And Russell Wilson has come in. This offense has been very good with Russell Wilson as the starting quarterback. How do you see the Steelers right now?
I see the Steelers right now as a completely different team than they were the last 2 years, John, and that's because of Russell Wilson. There was obviously a lot of unknown there. His tenure in Denver was tumultuous, right? And he wasn't 40 years old, but he was 35 years old, not a spring chicken anymore. Steelers were 4-2 with Justin Fields. Do you make that move to Russell Wilson? Do you upset a good thing? They're 6-1 now with Russ. They've got a top 5 offense with Russ. Russell Wilson already has more passing touchdowns than the Steelers quarterbacks combined last season. I mean, it is a completely different looking offense. Arthur Smith, the new offensive coordinator, deserves credit for that as well, too. Russell Wilson has come in and Justin Fields did well. And I think those 6 games that Justin Fields played are going to afford him another opportunity to be a QB1, even if that's not in Pittsburgh, in his future, because his contract expires at the end of this season anyways. But Russell Wilson has taken a team that has consistently won 9 or 10 games over the last few years, and even at the end of the Ben Roethlisberger era, snuck into the playoffs and gone one and done, to now it feels like, okay, legitimately, they've got the defense, they've got some playmakers, they've got a quarterback who is not a top 5 quarterback in the league anymore, certainly, but he knows what it takes to lead a team, he knows what it takes to win games. And it is a completely different outlook. I mean, the Steelers were in the playoffs last year. No one thought they were going to do anything. We're going to go up to Buffalo and we're going to get smoked and we're going to be one and done. The Steelers were on the verge of the playoffs the year before Kenny Pickett's rookie season. Do we really need to sneak in and get blown out in the first round? This year, people feel like the Chiefs are vulnerable. The Bills are great, but they've got their flaws as well, too. Win the division, host a home playoff game, go from there, and you've got maybe as good a chance as anybody in the AFC to go on a run.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The upside. I have a friend, he's in our fantasy league, so I'm always the one that's going back and forth with him. And I'm waiting for the Russ bus wheels to fall off. And they haven't. I'm like, this is going to be the week. He threw a pick 6. Was that last week he threw the pick 6 or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. Yeah, first series against Cincinnati,
the Bengals.
First series of the game. Yep.
And he throws for 400 some odd yards after that. So the wheels haven't fallen off. You know, when you look at Russell's numbers last year in Denver, you would have thought that he would have had a great year. But if you pay closer attention to what he was doing, Charlie checked down. He wasn't challenging anybody down the field. It seems like, and Steelers are a great organization, it seems like he knows exactly what he's supposed to do here. He's throwing a good deep ball. He's throwing some good intermediate passes, and they make the commitment. I don't think Najee Harris is a great back. He's been better this year. But they're going to run the football. Russell's not going to have to throw the ball 50 times a game. And it seems like this is a formula that's working. And frankly, I'm surprised. I thought he was cooked. And Wes, I don't know how many times I've pronounced the Steelers dead from this is the year they're not 500. And damn it, Mike Tomlin, man, every year. So how do you view Mike Tomlin? Because my Steeler friends, a lot of them, don't like Mike Tomlin. And it's almost like Andy Reid in Philadelphia. How could you want Andy Reid out of here? Well, bro, I had Reid fatigue. It was time to move on. Mm-hmm. How good of a coach is Mike Tomlin? How do you view Mike Tomlin? How does the average Steeler fan look at Mike Tomlin?
Well, Marksy, I don't think this will surprise you. Anytime I do a guest appearance like this in another town, in another city, what's the pulse of Mike Tomlin? What's the opinion on Mike Tomlin is usually the first or the second question. Divided, but I don't think it is definitely the minority that is waiting to jump on Mike Tomlin as soon as the Steelers lose a playoff game and see he can't get it done anymore, and all he's going to do is win 9 or 10 games and then go one and done in the playoffs. I think, though, now with the new outlook of this team, with what you see the Steelers can really be when they have a legit QB1, I think one thing you can't argue about Mike Tomlin, no matter how you feel about him, is that he has proven when he has a so-so, an okay, a mediocre quarterback, he can keep you in the hunt. He can win 8, 9, 10 games. When he has a top 10, top 12 quarterback, whether it's Roethlisberger, even Russell Wilson here, maybe around that 10 to 15 range, He can win you a lot of games and get you in position to contend. And I think that's all you can ask for in a coach. A lot of people like to weaponize that. Oh, we know Tomlin, nothing can ever happen to him because he's had 18 straight years without a losing season. He has gone 7 years without winning a playoff game. And
Right.
I know you know this. To Steelers fans, 7 years without winning a playoff game might as well be 70 years without winning a playoff game. And so I think most people see that nuance of he is an incredible leader of men. You see that on Hard Knocks. Everybody who's ever played for him who comes to the organization speaks about that. He does a great job Monday through Saturday of keeping those guys locked in, getting them in the right space. But there have been the shortcomings in the postseason. You can't deny that. And a lot of those shortcomings have been the defense laying eggs when the Steelers are supposed to be a defense-first franchise and Mike Tomlin is a defensive guy. I think this is really a crucial postseason for that perception. If the Steelers win a playoff game or two, but ultimately fall short, I think people will go, okay, they've got it moving back in the right direction. Russ is only 36 years old now. He's still going to come back for another year or two. They'll be effective. They've got the defense intact. They can maybe, have a little 2-3 year mini window here. If the Steelers go one and done in the playoffs again, it's like, look, they changed the offensive coordinator. They changed the entire quarterback room, and this guy still can't win in the playoffs. Maybe it is some of that Andy Reid type fatigue where he's a good coach, but it's just time to go different directions. I do think now more Steelers fans are leaning towards giving him the benefit of the doubt. But you're right. There's always been a loud faction that the moment something goes wrong is ready to get Mike Tomlin up out of there and point out how long it's been since he's had real postseason success.
7 years is a long time without a playoff win, man. I know what we'd be saying here. It's like you said, you can't argue with the success they're having, so you're not going to bitch about it. And then they lose in the first round. It's fire them. I told you. Fire them. We'd be doing the same thing here. All right, their defense. How does this defense stack up with other Steelers defenses? Is this one of the better defenses that you've seen? And what's their weakness? Like when you look at the matchup of the Eagles and the Steelers, what would you be concerned about if you're the Steelers when you look at the Eagles offense?
Oh, man, I'd be concerned about those two playmakers on the outside and obviously Saquon Barkley. But I will say this. I'm much more confident in this Steelers defense. I do think they're on a short list with the Eagles as well, too, of the truly elite defenses in the NFL. That definition has changed in 2024, right? You don't hold teams to 13 points and 250 yards anymore. That's not what elite defense is. But I do think the Steelers and what elite defense means in the current construction of NFL football are on that short list. They've really improved the secondary. I mean, John, I know you remember 2 years ago when the Steelers came to Philadelphia, A.J. Brown, the 3 first-half touchdowns. Yeah. He's laughing and pointing. It's not Ahkello Witherspoon and Levi Wallace in the Steelers secondary anymore. With all due respect to those guys. Joey Porter Jr. has brought a new nastiness and a physicality to this secondary. Dante Jackson coming over from the Carolina Panthers in the Deontay Johnson trade. He's got 5 interceptions already this season with 4 games to go. The secondary is playing at a high level. Cam Sutton, Beanie Bishop. They've got a lot of guys, good depth there in the secondary. Patrick Queen has been a nice addition to the linebacker spot. They really needed a general in the middle of that defense that they had been lacking really ever since Ryan Shazier and that injury 7 years ago. So I feel much better about the second level of the defense. But I don't know if the Steelers' front is maybe as nasty as it has been at times outside of Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward is having an outstanding season. Cam Hayward is in the argument for best interior defensive lineman in football this season. And I don't know if you guys do this too. I like to crap on Pro Football Focus when it's convenient, and I like to credit them and use their stuff when it's convenient. They have Cam Hayward ranked as the #1 interior defensive lineman in football this year. They had him ahead of Dexter Lawrence before he got injured. They have him ahead of Chris Jones. They have him ahead of the masters of disaster that you guys have there in Philadelphia. He is having a fantastic year. But if you can limit Cam Hayward, the rest of the interior of that defensive line has been up and down. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster. Larry Ogunjobi, he's had some games where he's been great. He's had some games where he's really struggled. Keanu Benton, second-year guy, had a great rookie year. Looked like at times he's about to take off. Other times he looks like maybe he's dealing with some of that sophomore slump stuff. The Steelers have been gashed in the run game too often, and particularly with big plays as well, too. So, you're always worried about the playmakers that the Eagles have on the edge, even if you are more confident in your defensive backs. But this, I mean, I'm not breaking any news here. You guys know this. It all starts up front with being able to stop Saquon. Can those guys win up front? Can Patrick Queen play downhill? Can Cam Hayward eat up 2 guys on the offensive line? That, to me, kind of, when I look at Eagles offense versus Steelers defense, that's the storyline. And the Steelers defense, most takeaways in the National Football League, they predicate themselves on getting after the football. That is a big part of the Steelers defense is those takeaways and setting the offense up in opportune situations. Philly's done a good job of taking care of the football as well, too. So that's going to be one of those game within the games as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry. Jalen doesn't throw the ball anymore, so I wouldn't worry about any interceptions or anything like that. No, they've officially stopped throwing the ball. Quickly, prediction on the game. What do you got?
I mean, the Steelers, last 10, they've gone there and they've lost, right? 1965 last time. Marksy, this is the stat. Between Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin, there's 6 Super Bowl rings. There's 2 gold jackets. There's 0 wins in Philadelphia. And if the Steelers had George Pickens, I would feel much better. He is, I think, one of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. He is by far their most dynamic offensive weapon. They are a different offense without him. I think the Eagles win a grinded out, lower scoring than we all expect, 24-21 type of game.
Oh, what did I say yesterday, Tyler? 25-20 is the first.
Something more weird like that would probably be apt. But guys, Russell Wilson 6-0 against the Eagles, 4-0 in Philadelphia. So if somebody can break that curse, maybe it's Mr. Dangerous.
Wes, thank you, brother. Congratulations on your success out there, man. I'm proud of you. You're doing great.
Thanks, Marksy. I appreciate it, man. And a lot of that goes back to you and the mentorship and all the time you gave me. So I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to introducing you to the Yinzers later this afternoon.
Oh, I'll be ready, man. I'll talk to you in a couple hours.
Take care, guys.
There he is, Wes Yuler, live from Pittsburgh. All right, coming up, we have our Tyler has an interesting stat, too. 7 years without a playoff win. Could you imagine? Actually, you can imagine.
Yeah,
Tyler's
it's because I thought when he said that, I thought I was going to go back to the era between Dick Vermeil and the 90s teams, right?
Save it.
That's
we're
what I thought.
late. We're already late. You have the number coming up here in a second. Don't go anywhere. Coming up, our locks. You want some free money? We got it for you. Our NFL locks coming up next. Also, Dalton the intern has a stat of the week. That's all coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Philly with Jon Marks. Hey. All right, so listen. A reminder, a friendly reminder every weekend. My guys over at BetPark Sportsbook and Online Casino, they present Double the Spread. So you want to check the BetParks app every Friday at noon for that weekend's selected pro football game. So they pick one game, and they double the spread. So if it was the Birds, you would double that spread. It'd be 10. I'm not saying it's. I honestly don't know. You have to check it at noon to see what it is. It's a great offer for all BetParks users. You don't need to be a first time, long time or anything like that. Don't forget on BetParks, you can always bet more than the score. Player performances, touchdowns, passing, rushing yards, interceptions, live betting. I was actually looking at the live betting last night during the Thursday night game. And the BetPark Sportsbook app, again, double the spread. Noon today, but you can do it all weekend long. BetParks.com has all the terms and conditions. Double the spread, double the spread. There's always another way to win on the BetParks app. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Ohio, Michigan, or Maryland. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, listen, you know this. We talk about coaching all the time on the show. You get bad coaching, man, it's hard to win. Well, listen, that's what you have to do with your kids and their finances, right? Because TrueMark Financial has the ultimate playbook for teaching financial responsibility. It's the free Greenlight account. So the Greenlight app is changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. They can set up their savings goals, track their spending, even get an allowance all right there in the Greenlight app. And the really cool part, they get their own debit card. Just what I need, my 9 and 7-year-old with a debit card. So we have a bank account, right? Like we have a savings account for all the kids, but I'm gonna kind of do this over the holidays when I have time to take them and they're not in school. We're gonna set it up because this is a really, really good idea, and it's free for all TrueMark Financial members. You're coaching your kids through their finances, and the holidays are right around the corners. Now's the perfect time to introduce your kids to Greenlight. Get signed up today. Visit TrueMark.com/Greenlight for more information. TrueMark.com/Greenlight. Well, there you go. All right, so 7 years. Mike Tomlin and the Steelers is really like, from afar, you're like, oh my God, who wouldn't want that guy? He's the best. Like, look at his players, love him. He's never been under 500, 18 years. But then you stick you do a cannonball into the pool in Pittsburgh, and it's been 7 years since they've made the playoffs. So Tyler,
sure,
the last time the Eagles went 7 or more years without a playoff win was when?
Yeah, so I would have thought it was the post-Vermeil, pre-1990s buddy teams. And that was the case. 81 through 87 was one time in which they did not win a playoff game for 7 straight years. But it's actually more recent than that. It was 2009 to 2016. The Eagles were 0-3 in that stretch. If you remember, that was the year after they went to the NFC Championship game. They went like 8-8, I think, in 2009. It was a particularly boring football year. I remember they beat the Bills in the final game of the year, I believe. Oh, that was 07, excuse me.
No,
09.
When was the Donovan Air Qatar game? Because they lost.
So that was
game.
09, I believe.
That was 09,
so 09,
okay.
They played in Dallas, and I think they played in Dallas on the final game of the year.
They did.
And the winner was going to win the division. The loser was going to be the wild card team, and it was almost a foregone conclusion that they were going to play each other again.
It's a matter of where.
In the next round. It was a matter of where. And I remember distinctly Andy Reid running this really tight formation, like this tight these tight package offensive formations where Dallas was like at the line, and they were just jamming at the line and getting to Donovan, and jamming at the line and getting to Donovan. And we went, okay, well, that's not going to work next week. And I remember Andy Reid coming back out the next week with the exact same game plan, and Dallas going and winning again. Right. And 2009, they lose that game. If you remember, they lose a playoff game with Nick Foles at quarterback. They lose to the New Orleans
Packers.
Saints at home. No, Michael Vick was the Packers game. So they lose in that span. They lost twice at home.
That was the Darren Sproles.
Yes.
Where he was
the kick return.
And he brought that kick return back.
Nick Foles leaves the field with a lead, and Sproles with the big kick return. And then I think there was a penalty on top of it.
There was.
I think it was a 15-yard face mask or something.
Yep.
And the Saints went down the field, kicked the game-winning field goal, and won the game. So, yeah, that was the last time the Eagles had not won a playoff game in 7 straight years. It was 2009 to 2016.
We can't even be happy when they're 11-2.
I mean, you should be.
We are. It's halfway kidding. All right. Well, Tyler, listen, we have our locks of the week. And it seems like the trend of me is getting the Eagles game right and then going 1-2 with the NFL picks. But I am over 500. It's important to point out. I am 3 games total, 3 games over 500. So that pretty much probably makes you a loser when you factor in the VIG. But I'm right around even. And I'm ready to go on don't let me get hot, man. Don't let me get hot in picking these games. I'm ready to do it right now. So let's do it. You know what I've cooked up for you this week? 3 road favorites is what I have. Let's start off with the Bengals and the Titans. 5-point favorites in Tennessee. The Bengals have 5 wins on the season. The Titans aren't very good. The Titans aren't good at all. I think everybody recognizes that. The Bengals are a much better team than a 5-win team. I think they go down to Tennessee and they take out their frustrations on a not good Titans team. So every time it feels like I bet against Will Levis, they make me pay. I don't care. I'm going Bengals -5. I think it's an easy win this week over Tennessee. All right. The Packers and the Seahawks. Are we going? No, is that the Sunday? That's the Sunday night game. So the Commanders and the Saints. The Commanders, they're fighting. They're trying to get into the playoffs, and they can't afford to lose games. Who knows what could happen? And it feels like after they had that little bit of a slump, I think they lost 3 straight games, that the offense is back. Daniels is healthier. Good offense. They've been putting up some points. I'll take Washington -7.5 over the Saints. I don't know if Derek Carr's playing or not. I don't think he is. I don't care. He stinks. So do the Saints. Take the Commanders -7.5. The Packers and the Seahawks. Packers 2.5-point favorites. Listen, the 12th man. Not giving the Seahawks a lot of points there at home, but the Packers are a really good team. The 3rd or the 4th best team in the NFC, and the Seahawks I just don't buy. You look at Geno Smith's numbers, they're all right. They're a middling, maybe playoff team. Maybe they win that West only because the NFC West stinks. So I'm going to take the Packers. They need this game to continue to kind of be at the top of the wild card standings or even keep their name involved and possibly win the division. They're not going to. So they're going to get this win. Take the Packers -2.5 in Seattle against the Seahawks. And I'm taking the Eagles 26-20. I think it's a hard-fought game. We're left leaving the game thinking Steelers are a good team. That was a good win by the Eagles, though. So I think that they do enough to cover the 5-point spread. I like the Eagles -5 over the Steelers. What do you got, Tyler?
Yeah, so I'll start there before I get to my picks because I felt like I've had a pretty good read on this team. You've had an excellent read on this Eagles team for most of the year. I felt like I've had a pretty good read on this team for much of the year, and then the last 2 weeks I've been wrong. So I don't know where to go from here. So for the sake of the city of Philadelphia with 5 points, I'm going to take Pittsburgh +5. I do think the Eagles are going to win this game. And Wes gave a score that I thought was pretty on the money. I like 24-20. I think both of these defenses come to play. I think if the Eagles can separate themselves in the run game, which they have done for most of the year, they'll win this game late. I think 5's a lot on the road to be getting. I mean, I know it's an Eagles line. It tells you that Vegas thinks the Eagles are a fairly sizable favorite. I do think the Eagles win this game. And for the merit of the Delaware Valley and beyond, I'm going to take the Steelers +5. Eagles win the game.
Yeah, it is not. I feel pretty confident in the way I think the game is going to be, which is a tight game. It's a matter of that 5-point spread, bro. You could be up by 12 and a touchdown, or you could be up by 10 and a touchdown breaks the spread.
A lot of stuff could, but you could also be up by 3 and kick a late field goal and cover.
Yeah, I don't see this as being you get backdoored and they're up by double digits most of the game. I think this is very much a game decided in the fourth quarter. So
yeah,
hoping the Eagles start quick. But go ahead with the rest of your picks.
Yeah, so my first one's gonna be quick because you and I haven't picked the same game a ton this year. But you know how much I hate Will Levis. I'm taking the Bengals -5. The Bengals still have an outside playoff shot. The Titans' defense has been good this year, but the Titans have only scored like 25 points, I believe, in their last 2 games. Will Levis has also been sacked, I think, 24 times in the last 4 games. The Titans' O-line hasn't played well. Their offense isn't particularly good. After everything that's happened with the Bengals and Joe Burrow saying we'll find out what kind of team we are, Jamar Chase has had an incredible year. I just think there's too much firepower with the Bengals, even if their defense doesn't play well, which it hasn't for a bulk of the year. I just think the Bengals are a sizable lead better than the Titans. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take the Bengals on this one as well. I like this Broncos team. The line feels a little bit short for a game against the Colts. They're -4 at home against the Colts. Anthony Richardson has struggled on the road. He has a sub 50% completion percentage on the road. He's thrown 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Denver's very good at home. They're 4-2. They're giving up less than 20 points a game at home. This is a really good defense. They've covered the spread 6 times in 7 tries as favorites this year, too. Bo Nix, who I gave a lot of crap to at the beginning of the year, has played much better. He's protected the football. I think the Broncos win this one, keep their playoff push very much alive. I'm going to take the Broncos -4. And then my final game, I'm going to take Minnesota -6.5. The Eberflus to Thomas Brown change did not work for the Bears last week.
They did not get the bump.
They got obliterated by the 49ers and did not look particularly good. Sam Darnold's been excellent. In the last 4 games, 11 touchdowns, no picks. Every time I think that maybe Minnesota starts to fall off, he's not getting Justin Jefferson the ball as much as we had thought. He gets Justin Jefferson the ball a ton last week. Jordan Addison's been excellent for them this year. They are 5-1 straight up in their home games this season. They have a +4 turnover differential. Caleb Williams has been sacked about 5 times per game this season. I just think the Bears' offensive line has not played particularly well. I think that they're in a little bit of disarray with the coaching thing. I'm going to take the Vikings not only to win this game. I think this could be one of those games where the Vikings win huge, like 14, 17 points, and easily cover the 6.5-point spread.
There you go. All right. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, we wrap up. And by the way, Dalton, the intern's coming on in a second with his stat of the week. But just so everybody knows, PHLY Daily, which is put out every morning. Rich Hoffman Jr., he definitely spends a lot of time putting this together. Comes out about 7:30 every morning. So before we go on the air, it's like the morning sports page of what you need, everything. Like this morning, it's a preview of the Steelers and the Eagles, right? It's last night where it has a recap of the Flyers. There's goal videos from the Flyers. There's stuff on there from Broad Street Hockey, Eagles stuff, headlines for the Sixers, headlines for the Eagles, the latest on the Phillies as well. Everything you need to know that happened at PHLY and in Philadelphia sports and nationally as well is right here on PHLY Daily. Just go to allphly.com. It's free to subscribe. It just goes to your inbox. You're not getting spammed with a bunch of other crap. All right? Just go to allphly.com and subscribe. PHLY Daily, everything you need to know. All right, there you go. So on Fridays at the end of the show, our intern Dalton comes on because he very much, when I see Dalton, as now he's just he's his freshman year in college, but Tyler, in the future, I see him working in a front office of a team, working under a general manager for the Phillies. He's like the vice president of analytics for the Eagles or something like that. Dalton, the intern, joins us right now. Dalton, what's up, buddy?
Hi, John. Happy Friday the 13th. How's everything going?
It's Friday the 13th? Oh, my God. I didn't even realize that. Look at you.
I guess a lot of people haven't really realized that this week.
No? Well, I mean, like that's why you're the stat guy. You reckon you with numbers, man. You can see it. All right, so what do you got for us this week? Last week, I think you dove into the Phillies. What do you got this week?
So I thought I'd delve a little bit into the Steelers defense and what this Eagles offense is going to be going up against on Sunday. So the Steelers rushing defense, they rank 7th, allowing 91.5 yards per game, where Saquon rushing alone is going for 124.8 yards per game. Now, with the talk about the Eagles passing game and how like they have to kind of get it going, this could be a week that the Eagles passing game can get it going because the Steelers are middle of the pack. They rank 17th, allowing 218.6 yards per game passing wise.
So, Dalton, do you think that the struggle in the passing game for the Eagles is a byproduct of them just running the ball and like they just haven't had enough of a flow to get the passing game going? Or do you think that this is a potential real problem?
I think the first one, I think it just works for them to run the ball. They're just a running team. They have a really good offensive line that loves to run the ball. I mean, every offensive line would love to run the ball, but we got bruisers up there that want to push guys around and
they get to do it.
Yeah. So it works. And when you have a running back like Saquon, I mean, why not just keep going?
Why not? I agree. Dalton, the intern, quickly, prediction, final score.
I have the Steelers winning 27-24.
What?
I picked earlier when the schedules first came out, this was one of those games that I circled that the Eagles would just lose. I just kind of thought,
really?
Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, end of the year, I thought they would be, good teams.
Dalton, 1 second. I gotta say goodbye to all of our people watching on TV. Go over to allphly.com to see the rest of the show. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just thought that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers would come in here needing a win, and I think that, this weekend the Eagles are just going to lose this game.
Wow. All right. Well, listen, I love it. I love the honesty. Intern Dalton, thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
See you next week.
All right, buddy. There he is. Intern Dalton with our stat of the week. In closing here today, as if you watch the show on a regular basis, many times you're seeing me drinking these energy drinks, right? And these are the C4s that they're the ones that make you itch because it has some type of drug in it.
Yeah, John, you slept on Tuesday, right? That was the last time you slept?
Yeah.
You're 700 milligrams of caffeine. You're up for 48 hours.
So these are the ones, well, they don't even affect me anymore. These are because
that's a healthy way to go about life.
Well, it's not healthy. I'm not saying it's healthy, but I'm on it's like a morphine drip of coffee and whatever chemicals are in these things. But so at Wawa, you get 2 for $5. So if I needed to get gas this morning, so at 5:15, I'm getting gas. So I'm like, all right, I'll go in and get a couple of them. So I put them in my backpack because if I put them on my seat, there's about a 99% chance they're going to fly on the floor by the time I make it all the driving that I do to get to work. So I put them in my backpack, and the backpack's on the seat. So some friggin' jerk off cuts me off on 76. Like literally, I have to jam on my brake, and the backpack goes flying onto the floor. And I don't think anything of it. Like my computer's in there, but it's in its spot. Not that big of a deal. So I get to work, I park, I walk around the car to go and get the backpack off, and I pick the backpack up, and there's just energy drink, liquid just coming through the bottom of the backpack. I'm like, So then I get up here, and now I have you can't see the roll. There's 2 rolls of paper towels. I didn't take them away. And so now I'm just like sopping up the energy drink from my backpack. And the only thing I care about at this point is I hope it didn't get to my computer. Because if my computer's cooked because of these energy drinks, I'm gonna have to go to rehab and stop drinking them. But it was not affected by it. But the backpack's got to be thrown out.
What's the milligram total on those? Is it like 350 or something like that?
What am I looking?
Not that
for?
it's part of the story, but just curious.
Caffeine's 200 milligram.
Is it really that low?
Yeah. So they have the ones that are 2 for $7 are a C4, but it's like an upgraded one.
Yeah.
And like I'm fine with. I'm not like I said, it's not even affecting me. I don't even know why. I can just drink water for what it's doing. But yeah, no, it's only 200 milligrams.
Well,
what's a standard?
So a cup of coffee is like 90 to 110, maybe in the 80 to 100 range. I know the Celsius is like 200. The Monsters are in the 150 range. So if that one's only 250, it's not too bad.
I wonder what because I go to the dollar store to get the energy drinks.
I think they should be the same, right?
Well, I don't know. I've never actually I've never looked at the milligram level. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, and the bad part about it is I like the Starburst, but the Skittles is the one that you want, and that's the one that punctured when it smashed on the ground, spilled all over my bag. Alexa was here this morning as well. She considered the intern of the show as well, a shadower.
I don't know. What's your title?
He said Gardino says unofficial.
Unofficial intern. Can we call her the shadower?
Sounds a little bit better.
We need a role for her. We need to figure out something for the show for her. Like, well, I'm not going to send her out on the streets to do a man on the street, but we need some type of thinking for her. Alexa, I'll think about it. We got something.
Can't do anything on. It's 7:30 in the morning when we're here. Nobody wants to talk to you at 7:30 in the morning.
No, but like we could go out and she could record stuff on. Well, no, we're not going to do a man on the street. I think the last time she was here, Herb was here, and that scared her off. We haven't seen her since then. Everybody have a great weekend. Shout out to everybody watching live on YouTube. We appreciate you. And we appreciate you joining and chatting as we have a community of viewers every morning that watch the show live and are big fans of PHLY. So switch over to Ant. He is live today. He's not even in studio this morning, is he? Is he out somewhere? I think I'd seen he's out somewhere.
I think
today.
they're at...
Where are they? Oh, Chickies and Pete's.
Chicky and Pete's, yeah. They were at Primo's on Wednesday. They're Chicky and Pete's today. So, yeah, Ant's been out and about.
Damn right.
He lives on that stuff. He loves hanging out with you, meeting you.
Yep.
And by the way, go talk to him. He'll talk to you. He loves you. And he means it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Anthony's always loved doing the remotes.
Yeah,
I loathe doing the remotes. And it's not because I don't like meeting people. It's because it just changes the entire show. You know, Tyler, in closing, I've worked in sports radio for nearly 20 years. And in those 20 years, I went with a few occasions where we probably didn't do weekly shows. I did weekly shows at Chickies and Pete's for probably 15 years straight.
Sounds about right.
I love Chickies and Pete's. Don't get me wrong, but there's only so many crab fries and.
Well, it sounds like I did when I was doing kind of getting my foot in the door at the Fanatic. I was doing remember the Friday morning Tropicana shows in Atlantic City.
I did those shows.
Taking the van down there Thursday night.
Oh, you did ground crew.
Oh yeah, that's when I was. I was on the ground crew portion of it.
That Chickies and Pete's down there is awesome, by the way.
So I know we're running out of time. I had one time we had a championship baseball game for my adult men's league. So I'm like, I'm not missing the game. So we went and played. We won. So a bunch of 22, 23-year-old kids were like, we got to go out and celebrate, right?
Trop.
No. So it was up here.
Oh.
So we went to the bar. Now, obviously, I didn't drink because I knew I had to go down to the Trop. But like we were at the bar till like 1 o'clock in the morning. I drove to the Trop, checked in at like 2:30, I was like, hey, can I get my room? They give me the key. I show up. I got a suite. I literally take like a 90-minute nap in a suite. I wasted a suite. Yeah, and then I took like a 90-minute nap and got down there at like 4:15.
What did the suite look like in the Trop?
It was nice. Like full on, like you know how like the bathroom's kind of just a bathroom in a regular hotel room? Like full on bathroom with like a big tub, not just a shower, like the big tub thing.
Man.
Dude, I walked in, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
That's where you want to go down with your old lady.
2:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I gotta get some sleep.
Yeah, so you slept for an hour and a half.
Yeah, like 90 minutes and jumped up and then I lost my phone.
I in Vegas one year, it was the second year that Florida won when they won back-to-back national titles in basketball. I went out there for it was like a bachelor party, but it ended up being the Final Four in March Madness. And for whatever reason, we were at the MGM, and they were like, "Well, you want to upgrade to a suite? It's blah blah blah." And this is like during a busy weekend too. And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." It was like an extra $300. I got a hooked up friggin', like you were saying, big bathroom, TV in the bathroom. By the way, when TVs weren't in bathrooms, when it was easy enough to put it in the bathroom, it was like awesome. I loved it. That's the only time I've ever been like in a hooked up hotel room like that. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Go Birds. We're back live Monday, 8 a.m., hopefully talking about 10 straight Eagles wins. We'll talk to you then. See you.
We all silly like the mayor.